is both the act and the MOU because they have the mandate. So now we come to the compromise. So our problem is, let me comment. The problem that we face is that other MOU is I think certain part of the country when you come to rural setup, they say okay you can restrict or so. But when you come to this one, where most of the population is where most of the problem is, they say okay you cannot. According to the law, when I went through, my health officers are not mandated to. They are the competent authorities to look at that. So, but now that is a long time. I think Mr. Pan is definitely willing and ready to work with us. So we understood each other. So we'll be able to solve that. If we are able to solve that, you will see health officers in the market. You will see us everywhere to make sure that I don't know what level we should have.
If
the act.
If the MOU is determining you, I just want to give to you that one is the law. But that's not stop you from doing your job.
It's the act. The act is deterring us because it's the only thing stem from that.
Mr. Wadi, you want to help in that?
Yes, I just wanted to say something. Okay, what I wanted to say is that thank you very much for giving me the floor. I think the issue people have to, we have to look at this. When there is a national law, like from our perspective, like the National Environment Agency, we enforce other laws that actually not a mandate from us, but we realize it's a national law. For example, if you need a particular document and it is pertaining to a particular institution, we have to tell you have to go and sort out with that issue before we can give you. So the reality is, I would employ it because I know whatever happened, the food safety, we have technical committees that may constitute other important institutions. But if the law is there and you have personnel, I think you have to act as per the law. Even though you can actually get that, apprehend that individual and refer them to the necessary institution to say that, okay, this is where we stop. At some point, we normally have those scenarios. When we get the people, we say that, okay, this is the one that's supposed to be the lead in that. So eventually, that becomes that synergy effect, where we work as a team, even though with different mandates. The laws are there. You can empower food safety to do whatever, but I know the food safety cannot do it alone. If all of us are policemen, then there will be less crime in the society, because everybody will be, but at the end of the day, when you report, who do you report to? You report to the police to come and apprehend that individual. So this is what we have to work together. And then let us not, the MO is actually an agreement between the Ministry of Health, that is actually the parent kind of body, and Food and Safety and Quality Authority. So that is a kind of a bilateral agreement. But when you look at the law affects everybody. So I'll employ the ministry to look into that and then ensure that we work together as a team for the interest of this country. Because you have been doing this in long time. You have a lot of experience. You have a lot of things. But where, even you know this is happening, you can tip them and say, anyway, from our own internal, we realize that this is what is happening in that area. Then that will help them to address some of the issues. Like what we do in our operations. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadi. I will now.
Yes, because these are things that are really actually happening in this country. Like one day I was in the ferry going to Yomi. You see, I saw this boy selling these biscuits. So I look at the biscuit. I found that the expiry date of that particular biscuit is somehow tampered. And a new date is being created on the same biscuit.
Yeah.
I told him that the biscuit you are selling is expired and you guys tampered with the manufacturing date of expiration. So I took him to the police. And I go with him to the police station with the biscuit and with evidence and everything. And I saw the police showing everything. So I said, that's where I can stop. So I'm going on my way. What happened to the guy, I don't know. So I know what the actions. So, but like, I took it upon myself, though it's on my domain. Well, I'm a Gambian, I should be protective to the society. Much more of a body that is responsible of ensuring our health. So you should not be deterred by MOU. that part I don't even entertain actually.
Thank you very much. PG, you want to comment on that? Allow them to comment. Allow them to comment. Probably they will have asked the related question on that.
Thank you very much.
Because this is an opportunity for, I think my first opportunity with this committee to make certain clarifications. When it comes to the Food Safety Act, it doesn't just stop at
Is the phone?
Oops, sorry about that. What I'm saying is that the Food Safety and Quality Act does not only stop at one type of food. You know, we're talking about food of plant origin. We're talking about fish. We're talking about meat, because we have to come to that also. We're talking about meat. We look at abattoirs. We look at markets. We look at bakeries. We look at all sorts of food. And you know, I think when I took over, so the law actually is stopping them from doing something that is not their, no more their mandate. The mandate of food inspection and food enforcement is the Food Safety and Quality Authority. Yes, the Food Safety and Quality Authority within the Act says that it can delegate responsibilities legally. So, and I think what the former MOU did was delegating those responsibilities to the Ministry of Health and to the public health authorities. Now, however, the conditions of the MOU, you know, were not workable as far as I'm concerned. Because, you know, not that I'm on the side of FSQA, but being on the side of public health, because I've been in both. So I've been in Ministry of Health and now I'm here, so I know. I think even if I was an official of the Ministry of Health, I would not have appended my signature to that MOU. I would not have accepted it because the conditions are not workable. You understand? They are a bit draconian. So, and I think that's what I told my colleague here. And I went around to all the regional health directors. I spoke with them, and our officers were even hosted by the directorate. You know, in fact, we were even giving office space by the directorate, and that's how you actually. It's a baby. You have to really help it to stand up, and they have been doing that. We have been tapping on their experience. We have been tapping on their performance. So, in so doing, especially maybe not in the urban area, but if you go to the rural area, all the enforcements that have taken place, we did with the public health officers. In fact, we involved them, and they involved us. So we had a live consignment of rice in Kaur. You know, so that consignment of rice was reported by a public health officer. It doesn't mean that, you know, by reporting an anomaly or a violation, it's actually doing their job also. You understand? So, and then when they reported it to our officers on the ground, then they work together. I remember I sent them a vehicle, I even paid for all their logistics. I didn't say, for me when I'm doing, I don't look at whether he's my staff or he's not my staff, but I look at all of them as staff doing the job of FSQA. So I paid them everything, you know, and then they did the operation successfully, and even the report, I insisted it should be a joint report. It should not be just an FSQA report. It was a joint report with us and the public health officers on the ground. So, and then the disposal was done jointly. And I have photos and I have the report. So, and orders and orders and orders. So, I think we are working amicably and we will continue. But the MOU perhaps was even a deterrent, you know, because with the way the MOU was structured, they were reluctant to work with us. But since that MOU is no more there, they are working with us very closely. I don't have to look back on an MOU to call him and work with him, because I've worked with him before. So I can always call him and then work with him. And then even NEA, we don't have an MOU, but we have one of the best working relationships. And that is practical. So sometimes it's not, perhaps when we come to law enforcement with the police, we are going to sign an MOU next week. Because even the police, you know, they go around, take advantage. Oh, somebody is rebagging rice. They don't know the conditions of rebagging, why we allow that person perhaps to rebag. You understand? They say, these people, they are rebagging this rice, they will sell it, it's bad rice, it's this and that. But they don't know the conditions of the rice, the technical conditions of the rice that warrant us at least to sort the rice and to bag it under supervision of the food safety. These are conditions that we do. You understand? So, but when they hear this one is rebagging rice, you see the intelligence, you see the police, they all come there and gang up and say to the person, oh, you are doing an illegal thing. And they don't even know which sections of the act or which sections of the law that if they want to prosecute the person, then that they will use to prosecute the person. So they have to be guided again by the food safety. We have a legal department and we have a lawyer, you know, that is the head of that legal department. So we guide them accordingly. So and it's also the same thing with these MOUs and with these working together. But you know, we have to deal with the veterinary department. We have to deal with the GMA, who is responsible for the livestock abattoirs. In fact, just yesterday, they sent me because they are going to build some slaughter slabs, and I told them that if you build these slaughter slabs and you don't give us the design, and we see that the food flow is incorrect, we will close those what's called because it will not conform to safe food. So and as a result, it's our mandate to close it down. So and immediately he sent me the design, and we have a technical team that will look at the food flow in the design. If it is well addressed, then we say, okay, fine, go ahead. If it's not well addressed, then we can change it. So we can alter it a little bit so that the people build things already before they inform the authorities. People go into business already before they involve even the relevant authorities. And when you ask them, you say we didn't know that we are supposed to contact the food safety. So these are some of the challenges. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, DG, for that brilliant explanation. We understand we have very good acts, regulations, and the laws, but sometimes we tend to wonder why is it so difficult for the implementation aspect of the whole thing is taking time. Example where I am from, you have your officers there, the public health officers, the food safety and quality control agency, their officers are there. But many a times, if you receive information and ask them to act on it, what they will tell us, we don't have the capacity or we don't have the resources. I think maybe there is a constraint that we need to know that is hindering their performance. If there is anything that the assembly can do from our end that you want to push.
Can I jump in, Chairman, before he changes
No,
his mind?
I know you will not
I'll happily jump to that one. Thank you. Honorable Chair and Honorable Member, this is part of the things that, we had a cabinet retreat these past few days. And of course, when it comes to the cost of living, I think some of the concerns raised were our charges, like I explained in the schedule, in the regulation, the registration regulation. Some feel that it is as a result is responsible for price increase. I remember that I had a heated argument on the media with the former minister, well, he's still overseeing the Minister of Trade, Mr. Keta, the Minister of Finance now. So luckily we were again in the same working group, technical working group, looking at the cost of living. And again he said that, well, yes, we have to look at the FSQA charges. I told him, Honorable Minister, I said, now that you are sitting at as the Minister of Finance, you know, I'll be more than happy to drop all the charges 100% in exchange for you to give me exactly what I need, you know, to run and to function as an institution. I said to him, you know, the reason why the law, actually the FSQA Act is a very good law, I must admit. It has limitations which we are going to amend, we'll come back to that. But, you know, the objective of those laws were very good. Number one, the Food Safety and Quality Authority is not like any other agency, you know, because we are also supposed to regulate government. So there has to be some degree of independence and autonomy. And the only time that we can do that, we have to be financially independent. You know, if we are not, then if government is giving us 100%, then we are just a mouthpiece for government. You understand? When it comes to enforcement, we will not be able to do, because we will be looking, you cannot buy the hand that feeds you. Now, the Act says that you have to do certain charges to take care of your operations and running costs. And that's why it says that you do your charges, and it, you know, of course, the charges have to be vetted. Now, what government is giving us, Honorable Chair and members, is only enough to pay for salaries. Only, you know. And we are responsible for our operations and our running costs. Of course, they also pay our rent, you know, annually. But beside that, and beside our salaries, we have to come up with our own resources. And at some point, I told him, look, if I tell you to give me a certain amount of money, and then you win us after 1 year or 2 years, you win us completely from your budget. If you accept with that terms also, I will be more than happy to say, okay, give me this much amount of money, and within 2 years I'll be completely independent, because we can do it. Because this Gambia, we're always depending on budget. Yeah. But I think if we engage in business models, you know, that is more sustainable. Sure. You know, so for example, we are going into a food testing laboratory, and that food testing laboratory, we are doing a joint venture. We are looking at international global partner that knows, that has done, you know, has the best food testing laboratories in the world, in China, in Germany, in the US, in other parts of Europe, in South Africa, in Ghana, in Senegal, to partner with them so that they will open up a food testing laboratory in the Gambia through a joint venture. We have to put in our operational costs, we put in also a capital cost, and they also put in OPEX and CAPEX at the same time. We provide them the facility, and we step back and they take it and operate it fully. Because we cannot operate a laboratory. We are a regulator. So as a result, we cannot. So, and these are ventures that can be done. And within 5 years, in our proposal, within 5 years, that laboratory can generate over $500,000 as profit. You know, so even if our capital investment is 20% or 30%, we will be getting annually 30% or 20% of that $550,000. You see the point? So I told, you know, it's a cost-effective way. That if I say, okay, give me $100 million or give me $200 million, and after 3 years or 4 years, you know, I'm independent. I will not ask a penny from government. So that scenario can work, but you know, our tariffs are actually, that is what is keeping the institution running. And of course, we are constrained with resources. Even though we are expanding, within the past 2 years, I think we have established over 4 offices or 5 new offices. Yeah. We've opened an office in Mansakongo, we've opened an office in Janjambure, we have opened an office in Essel, because Essel is a hotspot because of the ferry and all those things. So now we have opened an office in Essel. We have opened an office in Farafenni. Farafenni, we are only present at the border, controlling the food that is coming in and out, because that's the busiest port now. So therefore, we are concentrating now. We are neglecting, you know, the hinter of Farafenni, the Lumos and the other public, you know, markets. So now we have an officer who is going to really focus and concentrate on those. And of course, they'll be working with the public health. We are also having offices in Wasu, in Wasu, Dirkamaba, Fatoto, because of the bridge, new bridge now. And some of the trucks are coming from Tamba, they enter through there and just to shortcut and go into the Gambia. So we are capturing that also. The Kamaba also, you look at the Lumo, you look at the proximity to Pata and the border in Senegal, so we are looking at those things. And Sare, where is it? Sarengai. Sarengai,
Yeah.
in URA. So that also we are working on it. I think I was supposed to be even gone there this week, but because of events. But I hope next week I'll be able to be there and start looking at the possibility of acquiring a post there. An officer will be there. So these are things that we have to do. It's our mandate. We have to do it. We cannot say we cannot do this. We have to rely on public health. We have to rely on others, because sometimes also not all these how to call it, not all these collaborations work the way you want them to work. They are not devoid of challenges. They have some challenges, because you might need urgent resources, for example, human resources, and they have an outbreak, for example. They are not available.
Yeah, sure.
So, and then your activity is affected, your performance is affected. So these are things that, since the mandate is with us, we have no excuse. We owe it to the country to build our capacity to be able to do our work. And I think if we are not able to do that, I will resign and leave this job.
Thank you, Vijay. I think
We don't open the office in Foye. We don't open the office in Foye.
Okay. You want to know for you?
Yes, I want this office in Foye also.
No problem.
West Coast.
Okay, West Coast.
We will.
Yeah.
Wait for you. Give us space, we will.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. Somebody you want to come in?
Yes, I think
Definitely. Time is going now.
now go. Mine will be very brief. I think
Definitely, let us not devoid. Let us not go deep.
yeah, no,
Because I
mine.
know we are dealing with a matter. Let's principally focus on the subject matter. Then the other issues can come up.
Yeah. Okay. I think the honorable mentioned about some of the issues why we cannot implement these laws. What I wanted to say is most of the problems that we have in terms of implementing these laws is the state. Whenever there is an issue, most of the time it's the state that make you not to implement, particularly from the executive, from whatever, and it's ourselves. So if you know us as an agency, you realize there is a problem. When you want to go further, you get all calls. I can remember one minister called me, he mentioned it. He said that the laws are made by the people. So why can't you change? I said, but the law doesn't change like that. We have to do what the law says, not when circumstances come. It's related to a business person. He said, why can't you change the law? The laws are made by the people. I said, the laws are made by, and when you want to change them, it has to follow a process.
Sure.
So if government realizes that the laws is not really helping the people, then you can say you can change the law. When as much helping the people, why are you not following what the law says? Because tomorrow when there is problem, when you set commission, you don't tell you the minister call, but they tell you the law say this. Why didn't you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And that that is what we can employ some of this August body. When we are engaging the authorities, let us follow what the law says. Then we will avoid most of these commissions. Because we normally get those kind of things. And that is the major problem why in terms of implementation is always a problem. Because they say interfere in a lot of things in terms of authorities doing their job. So that's what I have to add to what.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. I just have a few things that I want to be clear on. First and foremost, I thank all of you for your brilliant presentation. But this goes to food safety. Are you ready for the task as an agency to ensure that our food is safe? as an agency? One. Number two, do you have any testing material that will test this kind of foods that we are using? And then do you also, as these committees, do you have a joint emergency work plan in case of an emergency that erupted? Because looking at any health and food safety, these are so interrelated. For the fact that do you have a contingency emergency response plan in the case of this? And going back to NEA, yes, I just want to know, did they have a system that records all chemicals in this country? So basically, these are the issues that I want to add to my questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. DG, can respond to these issues that concern the area.
Okay, thank you, sir, and I will be very brief this time. Your first question was if the agency can perform the mandate that it was given. When I was offered this job in 2020, I asked myself the same question. But because of prior knowledge of of the food agency, like I said, I've been part of the people that have advocated for its establishment, and I've worked with it in the past. The Food Safety and Quality Authority, I think all the lawmakers that supported its enactment cannot be wrong. It's something that we need. It's something that is justified. And I will just give you one example. Nigeria, as big country of Nigeria, they are actually piloting the Gambia to establish a food safety authority. And just last week, they sent me their draft policy. You know, they're at the infancy level, and they are looking at us to support them to formulate the Food Safety and Quality Authority of Nigeria. Malawi also are trying to emulate what we have done, and they also have engaged us to support them to establish the Food Safety.
I just want something. Yes, my question is, the agency in the Gambia with all those things, William, are you ready to be tasked?
No, I'm coming.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's just to support.
Honorable, can you just answer your question, then he will respond.
Yeah.
No, because you are talking of time, and I have series of questions.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
All right. Okay.
You answer your question. If you are satisfied, allow him to answer. If you are not satisfied, you can come back.
Okay, it's just to buttress the answer
The
that I
preparedness, and the level of preparedness, that's my question.
Yes.
And there was a history coming.
Yeah, that's why I'm coming, because you know the history. If it is to determine, is to show the level of preparedness for the food safety. Otherwise, it would not be piloted.
No.
That's just what I was trying to actually say. Now, the Food Safety and Quality Authority, like I said, with all the challenges, should be ready to take up the responsibility of its mandate and do it right. And yes, we are ready. We are more than ready. And I think I took that appointment with a condition that the day that I feel that I cannot answer your question, I would quit. I would no more lead that agency. You know, it's just to answer your question. The day that I feel that I am not in a position to deliver on the law or on any regulation of the agency, I will resign. So that's why I'm having so many challenges. I'm enforcing, and I'm getting calls from all over the place, including politicians and executive members, but I will not be deterred. You know, we will do what we have to do. We are more than ready to implement it.
Yes.
And your second question was whether we have testing facilities, right? We don't have testing facilities. When I came, my background expertise is in laboratory science. I'm a laboratory scientist by profession. and she's my right hand. You know, I was her boss when we were at the public health laboratories. Then she was at the hospital. Now, you know, when we did an assessment, and they did an assessment before I came, but even when I came, I wanted to verify the assessment. The assessment showed this. We have a lot of these laboratories, but none of them had the competence to actually even be prepared for accreditation. Because for us, when we are doing things, we want it to be from an accredited laboratory. Because, you know, yes, we are regulators, but people can also take us to court and say, look, you impounded my goods for this long, and you said you are going to test it, and now there is nothing wrong with it, so I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to press for damages. Right now, we are going to court. Right now, for a case in 2014. You understand? So whatever we are doing has to be backed by scientific evidence. So, and but I explained before that we are working to get this established as soon as possible, and we hope that there will be an operational lab in 2022. Thank you.
You also asked about emergency preparedness.
We don't have a standing alone emergency preparedness plan, you know. But what we are working at, I think all of us are in that also, is to establish this One Health platform that will address human health. This One Health platform has the stakeholders, all the relevant stakeholders that are actually in One Health. Yeah, be it from the parks and wildlife, be it from fisheries, be it from environment, be it from health, be it from agriculture, be it from anything that affects the human health. We are creating a platform, and I think before Dr. Manjan will respond to that, there have been some levels of plans that are response plans in terms of emergencies, in terms of epidemics and pandemics and outbreaks. This is outbreaks. There are really some plans that have worked, and I don't want to elaborate on that, but I can say that there have been some successful plans that have been implemented.
Thank you. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Just for the plan, I'm responding to that. Yes, there have been some plan when it comes to National Public Health Security Plan, NAFS. Yeah, we'll be working closely together, and it encompasses all components. We have 19 thematic areas. And one of the areas really is the chemicals, biosafety, chemical events. There's a thematic area of that. Safety is one of the thematic areas, and we have different types of thematic areas. Even legislations are all part of this. So we have 19 thematic areas that we work together. We have plans for that will enhance us to work together in terms of emergencies, and it's working very well. And in fact, they developed the One Health concept from that NAS, and it's working. Yeah, because I was talking to Roland about that. They're picking it from the NAS that we all developed together with DG Bar and everybody. We all participated in it, and currently we are going to do resource mapping, and then from there we do the launching, and at the launching all of you will be invited, from the president downwards. So it's a big thing that we're coming up with, and it's already developed. So we have something in place when it comes to epidemic preparedness or pandemic and pandemics. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you okay?
Yes, with this guy.
Okay.
Because my question, do you have lists of chemicals that are in the country that you should be reviewing anyway? Because I look at, there is a chemical they put in banana to make it ripe. You understand? And these are all chemicals that we are talking of now. So I just ask at NEA level, do you have a list of, do you have a register of chemicals?
Yes, as I said, in the law, there are a list of chemicals that are permitted to operate, which is actually outlined in the law. So the chemicals are actually there that are allowed to be used in this country. So those chemicals are already there, and then we know And then whoever is bringing a chemical that is not part of the approved chemicals, you are not allowed to bring the chemical. There are what we call approved chemicals, there are what we call non-approved chemicals. That means internationally the chemicals are banned and they cannot be used in this country and elsewhere. So those lists are already there. And we actually supply those lists to some of our stakeholders also as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry for giving that. The issue is why I ask this. If you can tell us that nobody knows the source of this knife coming into this country, that was allowed.
What I'm saying, I think I mentioned it clearly. This is not a banned chemical, and I mentioned that the chemical in terms of sniper is not a banned chemical, and it's also meant for agricultural use. I mentioned that one in the beginning. That the sniper is actually an outdoor product that's supposed to be used in our farm. And then the issue of registration, we said as far as the agency's records are concerned, it is not in our records on how chemicals come, that sniper comes into the country. That's what I mentioned. And it is the fact that it did not come through the right way. But it's not a banned product, so it is not registered because it's coming under agricultural. Ideally, it's supposed to come with agriculture. You know, even the fertilizer that comes into the country, because it's a nutrient-based chemical, it is not regulated, as DG mentioned. But actually, misuse of the fertilizer also give us repercussions. So this is the situation now because it is being misused. We are seeing how best we can get rid of it. Now it becomes something that whenever we see with somebody, it is you are dealing with a non-approved product in this country and you prosecute it according to the law. So this is a concern, and then it's a concern for everybody, actually.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
and I just want, as a now, who work in health, and then this question later on. You said this sniper is bad and hazardous to our health. Tell us what are the health implications that we can also, as representative of people, that we can, because we will also be part of the sensitization.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Yes,
I visit.
Sorry, I know your question.
Yes, because you know where I'm going to land.
So I visited here already. Maybe then we step out. I was saying it can cause respiratory paralysis and also it's carcinogenic, and also it can cause brain failure. And it may even result to death. So it has serious health implications, both when it is inhaled and also when taken as medicines.
Thank you. Yeah, Honorable Vice.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. By the way, I just want to say thank you very much to all the speakers from the different agencies or directorates. It is very important, or let me start by saying success happens when our dreams are bigger than our excuses, because looking at the current situation, the issue of the sniper came to our notice through what we saw on social media, that this is being used on smoked fish that people like us are very used to. For example, this Friday, my house is always full of mbahal, and we cannot cook the mbahal without the smoked fish. But to be honest, the very moment when I received the information, I told my wife, never cook mbahal near super kanja in my house again. And I was very serious about that, because to be honest, I can remember using sniper. He did mention that sniper was meant for outdoor activities, but for me personally, I used it indoor. But I also realized the implication that it had, more especially when it comes to inhaling it, which was very bad experience as far as I'm concerned. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, what are you going to do in terms of making sure that, because you did mention that whoever you come across with the chemical, but I can tell you there are chemicals that are in this country that are not authorized, and they are in this country, they are on sale. People are selling them. And these are things that are really happening. What are you going to do in collaboration with either the police or the drug enforcement agency, whatever, to see how best you can make the situation, to be eased by the population? Because looking at the situation right now, people are really scared, more especially people that have direct contact with the chemical. Because to tell you the truth, sniper, to me, is not a good chemical. Yeah, as far as the experience that I had with the sniper. And it was once reported, if I can still remember, that somebody used it to kill herself. I don't know whether it was a rumor or it was true, but these are things that we all hear sometimes. So it is also very important that when it comes to our notice, what are you going to do as authorities or agencies responsible to see that you work together? Because I had the the Director for Public Health, talking about the collaboration, which I am very concerned about, because it's very important to collaborate in such a situation, because this is an emergency. And we don't expect things to prolong here as far as coming up with a solution is concerned. And I believe that is why we took it upon ourselves as honorable members to make sure that we meet all the relevant stakeholders to see that we have a solution to this situation. And all the speakers here have said it, very nice and well articulated. But in terms of the implementation aspect, what are we going to do to make sure that there is a solution to this problem as we are talking as of now? So this is really my concern. And like I said before, I am talking here as somebody who have already experienced the sniper chemical, and I believe it is something that we need to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you will allow Mr. Badi.
Yes, thank you so much. Maybe because you mentioned you came late, but we actually discussed some of those issues. Yes, in fact, thank God we have somebody who actually acknowledge that you are using this thing as to kill whatever pesticide or insecticide you have, or insects you have in the house or so, and you yourself realize the negative implication of it. As I said before, the sniper in 2019, when it is what we call a moratorium, in a sense that it was kind of a restricted chemical. That means because of the dangers associated with it, it cannot be used the way it's supposed to be. And then we end up trying to enforce that restriction, and we have a lot of packages. But because it's a moratorium, it's not banned, because it's not a banned product completely, because it's supposed to be used outdoor in our farms. Now, looking at the situation that is happening now, we realize that this misuse is now widespread, and it is now affecting us in our food chain. Now, you are afraid of eating your silver kanja or whatever, which is a serious, and maybe that could be your choice, but it has been threatened. Now, what we did, in fact, without even realizing about this use of sniper in our food chain, the board that is responsible of management of this chemical had a meeting almost 2 months ago, and we said we have to ban this chemical. They agreed that the chemical must be totally banned in this country after 31st of October. Now, in this interim, this issue comes in, and then October this year, yes, 2020.
Should be banned.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2022. Yes. So now when this issue of sniper being misused to use in our fish or food chain, particularly fish, then we have been invited to a lot of discussion and radios or TV. I came back to my board. I told him now, I think we have to, the board has taken a decision to ban this thing completely, so that when whoever is using, when it's banned after that particular period, it means that you are dealing with an illegal product. Why can't we look at reconvening this board to discuss this issue so that we can have an immediate ban because of the condition that is. And this is what, that was just, I think on Wednesday I was on, and I discussed this matter with him, so we need to call the board again to say that this is supposed to be banned. And after the ban, then we can involve the state. I already even discussed with the Commissioner of Operation and the police. Even yesterday we had that discussion. I said that we're going to conclude on this, and then eventually the police will come. But we also have very good relationship with all security agencies. Because in fact, sometime back they even apprehend things and they will call us. There was even currently there is a container that has been detained in Farafenni because it's bringing things that is not registered. Because some of those are also capacitized to know about some of these things. So we work together. Right now, where there's a whole, I don't know, 20 or how many feet container that is parked in the custom office of in Farafenni, because they are bringing products that they don't actually get registration. So they ask where's your approved register to say that this product is supposed to enter into the country, which they don't have. So they have to refer them, and then we have to send an inspector to say that whether these are chemicals that are allowed in this country to come in and then get registered properly. So this is the collaboration that we have, and I am also with the view that we're going to have a tour, whether we do it jointly with the DG of to go to those areas to emphasize the fact that they have to be vigilant because the life they save may be their own. So this is what we're going to take around. Don't think that you are doing it for FSQ, you are doing it for Minister of Health. First, you have to know that you are doing it for yourself, because the market, all of us visit there. And then you have to know that whatever, whether you are living in Paroto or wherever you might be, the food normally go up that level. So these are some of the things, but there are measures to ensure that this thing is going to be, in fact now, after the board approval, we ensure that it is immediate, and we involve the police immediately to help in the enforcement of that. And including you people, you live in communities, you are representative of different communities. Emphasize from the alcalde to whoever, a chief, let this thing, this is dangerous for you and I. Let us make sure that we don't use it. So when people don't buy, there will be no market. And when there is no market, no supply. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is a follow-up question from Honorable Gini to the DG of FSQA concerning the issue of testing, testing machines. You said you don't have any testing machines as of now, right? Laboratory testing machines. My question is, where do you normally do the testing? If you normally have things that you have to test.
Thank you. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't have accredited and fully functional laboratories. And I think one of the key problems is the public institutions, they normally depend on grants or projects. And the moment these projects end and the lifespan ends and withdrawal happens, these laboratories also fail. So I've been around and I've looked at all the laboratories, and from my professional judgment, none of the laboratories is fit to do testing, including our laboratory at the food safety. When I say that we can do, of course, like some of the spot checking for iodine, for vitamin A, for also iron, for the fortificants in food, we can do rapid testing for those. But also just to check the presence or absence. But these chemicals, some of them need high level analysis, and they need special equipment. Actually, the National Environment Agency, recently I think I was invited to commission a laboratory, but which they would be able to do this pesticide analysis. But unfortunately it's not fully functional. Otherwise that's where we would have run and do the testing immediately. But since it's not yet fully functional, we are sending these samples either, we have options, either to ATIA, Locatox in Dakar, or we can send it to Eurofins in Germany. So we are preparing these samples to send them to these reference laboratories, and these are accredited laboratories, because we don't want hearsay, we don't want guesswork, we want absolute, solid, sound evidence. Because we, as a regulatory body, the only thing that we can accept is something that can be vouched for and can be even acceptable in a court of law. So this is how serious we are about testing, and I hope that I think from here we are going to check the report of the investigation, and of course the samples that they have collected. We have technicians that will be working, Lalia will be working on that, and then prepare the samples for shipment and for testing. So we expect at least within 4 or 5 days, we'll be able to get results, and then we'll be able to tell the public, really, these are our findings, and that we have found these traces of pesticide in the fish, and whether they are deadly or not deadly, because he's afraid to eat his mahal and his fish. Let me also speak on a scientific point of view, because I think this is very important to allay fears. I have said it in all my appearances. Now, concentration is very important. Perhaps, the abuse is we don't use the right concentration and we overuse it, and as a result, because the concentration is high, it affects you directly. But if you use it at the approved concentration, then it doesn't harm you that much. The more you take it, the more deadly it becomes. So this is just the scenario. The lesser you take, the lesser likely the damage it will cause. So, and I want to believe that with our mahal, and of course heat also affects chemicals. Exposure over a period affects chemicals. You can even use sniper at the processing side, but it has taken you 2 weeks to sell the fish, to access the fish. By the time you are buying it, perhaps most of the sniper is gone. You understand? So these are things that we have to really also look at. So by the time you are eating it, and also when you buy it, you may be just taking a handful or 2 handfuls of fish.
Hope you are not trying to justify the usage of sniper.
Sorry?
Hope you are not trying to justify the usage.
No, I'm allaying the fears. Because this is scientific. You understand? So I think the use of sniper is totally unacceptable. But the thing is, you don't have to work in retrospect. But if it has been done, it has been done, it's there. Yeah. So if it is there, actually what is the consequences? So this is what sometimes you have to explain to the public. The consequence might be big, but it might be small. So, but then that does not justify the use. But I'm just saying that to allay the fears, to say that, the smaller quantity that you take may not be that harmful, depending on the concentration of the pesticide that has been used. Thank you.
Just one question. Because you mentioned about taking the items to other countries for the testing that is to be accredited. So I believe, what plans do you have as an agency to make sure that you have all the quality laboratory materials to be doing the testing in the Gambia? Because it is a concern. It is also a national concern. What are we doing as Gambians to make sure that things happen in this country? It's very fundamental now, and we have to be thinking like this as Gambians. No matter what, I believe things can happen in this country. But things cannot also happen when the necessary materials are not in place, like you said. But what plans do you have also as an agency to make sure that all these laboratory materials are in place, to make sure that testing will be done in this country, and at the end of the day, all the results will be accredited in this Gambia?
Yes, Honorable Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable. Sorry. Before you proceed, I think it is a very, very important question. I think over the discussion is talk something about that. And this is an issue that I said we will take up as a committee, as a health committee, because it's a joint committee matter. And the issue at hand here is the issue of sniper pesticides. But the issue of FSQA and Ministry of Health and all other stakeholders, definitely we will take it up and we make sure that whatever that is provided for and the way forward in regards to, I know they are interested in that budgetary matters and so definitely we will take it up with them and see what we can do. I think we have to end at that, and unless if there's any other concern regarding the subject matter, then it is sniper because they are maybe if they have anything to say on that, but that is the position of the committee. We will take it up with you people so that we can move ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it is quite responsible. It is quite apt that the committee calls us within a week to find out what is being done. And I'm very impressed with that. And I would say keep it up. I think we are all servants to the public, and the interest is for the public. Asking and answering questions related to the pesticide use, like I said, I'm also pleased with the formation of the task force. My stakeholders, I think this is something that we should keep. In fact, I told them that this task force is something that we should keep because it's not only sniper. We have a lot of other issues to address. But for the sniper issue, I want to assure the honorable members that the Food Safety and Quality Authority will only act on evidence-based, scientifically proven evidence-based, and we will take all the necessary actions following the investigation and the testing, because there are a lot of things that needs to be done with the folks that have been doing this. And I've said this in some of my interventions, is that they are not perhaps doing it out of wickedness or out of cruelty or out of fraudulent intentions. But however, I think we need a lot of sensitization, because if they stop sniper and they took permethrin or another insecticide and say, okay, this is not sniper, we can continue using it, and that's not what is acceptable. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and please do not hesitate to contact us either by phone, because calling us here may not be that easy. Even if you call us by phone, we will leave what we are doing and we will answer to your calls, and we will give you also information as much as possible. And please, the Food Safety and Quality Authority has established a toll-free line. That is 1299. Anybody who has got any information on food can contact us, and we will respond immediately within a very reasonable time. And we urge the members also to know that number, because we live in the communities, so that at least when you see things or people that see things can report this. Social media has really impacted greatly. Sorry?
Is the number accessible 24 hours?
It's accessible 24 hours. 24 hours. You can try it anytime, and it's through all mobile networks. As I was saying, you know, I've even missed the point that I was you know, so no. I was saying that the social media is both useful and harmful. You know, because to be honest with you, honorable members, you know, we are worried about our health, which we have not established yet, whether it's good or bad. But if you go now to the markets, you know, we find it even hard to get a sample, fish sample, because all the fish sellers has packed. They have packed, and there are no more fish available. They are not processing, and their livelihoods also are affected. So I'm urging you as members also to have them in your minds, because they are also vulnerable, and their livelihoods have been gravely affected by this, and that is why whatever statement that we have to make as an authority has to be something authentic. So I know that you have been patient, but please be more patient with us. I know we are resisting a lot of provocation. We are resisting it. People will ask us to make comments, but we are resisting it. But however, it will take a little bit of time, because these samples have to go all the way to Germany, and they will be tested, and we'll get back results. And once that is done, then we will keep you informed, and we will keep the public informed. So don't be frustrated. Please allow us to do our work as professionals. But we are not just impulsive, we are not just reactive. But I think we will be proactive going forward, and we will also be professional in doing our jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG. And then I think that will bring us to the end of the day. It has been a long day. Since 11 o'clock, we are sitting discussing on this matter, but it's a matter of public concern, and it's a very important matter. And then I think if one done justice for the reason why you are called here, I just picked it up, and then as I was listening to the deliberations both from honorable members and also the stakeholders here concerned, I would just want to recommend the following. Like the investigation report, once it is done, please avail us copies for this joint committee, as well as copies to the National Assembly. That is one. Then the other thing is the issue of the sniper. Please, NEA, discuss with your pesticide committee or whatever. If the ban that you mentioned, like the 31st of October, if it can be done immediately, because as according to the development, this thing the purpose is being difficult. So why we still have it? I think that can be a measure in alleviating the fears of the people. That is another thing. Then the other thing is about the sensitization. That is also very, very important, and that has to do with both the stakeholders, that is NEA, public health, and also FSQA. Please work collaboratively and continue sensitizing people. Not only in media, use other means, all available means where possible, so that people can know. Because once people are misinformed, it brings in a lot of challenges, like DG is saying, and those are very, very unfortunate things. People have to know what is happening, they have to know the reality, they have to be informed accordingly. And last but not least, that is about the FSQ, the inspection. That is also very, very important. I know when it comes to resources, in terms of inspection and so on, it's sometimes challenging, but please continue doing the inspection service on food establishments around the country to make sure that anything that happens at any time, you will be on top of issues. And we will definitely continue collaborating with you people as far as we are stakeholders. We all have a stake in these things, and also we also play a very important role as far as the welfare of the Gambian people is concerned. We'll continue to work with you, and we'll continue to work with the health, likewise any other stakeholders, to make sure that any issue that is brought for us, we deal with it accordingly. And as I started earlier during my intervention, this is the National Assembly, and it's a very reputable institution. I think we are the second arm of government. Here we don't act on rumors or hearsay and so on. We act based on evidence and facts. That's why we call you to make sure that we got first-hand information from you people to be responsible, because you are the expert in that area. We cannot just be going to media, writing or whatever. We don't do that. We listen to you and you get it back, then we communicate via the right channel. And I think you've been seeing we are streaming this thing live, and we will share this on the National Assembly page to make sure that the facts are shared. And once we have the report, that will also help. And then on that note, I just want to thank everybody, thank the stakeholders, and humbly declare this meeting closed. Thank you.
And they are released.
Close prayers.
They are released.
Yeah, let's pray and everybody's released, not them only, maybe you.
Somebody.
Yes.
I'm